Most slaves were African American, but there was also Asian slaves and Jews were slaves. It was mainly there's also white slaves, but most of the people were colored.
That's not American history though. I'm saying slavery in regards to American history.
Okay. I mean that there were still white slaves in America. If you want to know that, I guess y'all fun fact.
You see that, y'all? All right, everybody, what's going on? This is Black Everything.
What's up, y'all?
You know what it is. We all about black people. We all about black excellence. So we can empower our black people and eventually get black unity. I got again today with me my son here.
Yep, KJ.
Yeah, KJ.
Here more often now.
He's more or less a mainstay, so everybody get used to him. And at the end of the day, y'all also want you to make sure that you pay attention to stuff like this that we do, because this is here in regards to things they didn't tell you about slavery in school. You in school, so what's just off the top of your head some stuff you can think of what you've been told in school about slavery?
Off the top of my head, I know most slaves were African American, but there was also Asian slaves and Jews were slaves. It was mainly there's also white slaves, but most of the people were colored.
That's not American history though. I'm saying slavery in regards to American history.
Okay. I mean that there were still white slaves in America. If you want to know that, I guess y'all fun fact.
You see that, y'all? They teaching the kids in school. Forget about the little millions and millions of blacks that was enslaved unjustly for hundreds of years.
You weren't the only one.
Let's also point out there may have been white slaves.
There were.
But do you also know this, that there was white slaves towards the beginning, but they were more like indentured slaves. So although they got low wage, they didn't get the same treatment as the black slaves. They could still walk into a store and purchase things and not get looked at weird. Yeah, there was poor. It was a stigma on poor versus rich, whether you was white. And that's still true today, by the way, y'all. There is they like to think the term nowadays is that, old poor whites and blacks all kind of grouped together in history and, similar to nowadays. But yeah, that was a very small part of the history. The bulk of it, Caden, was the African Americans that were enslaved. And even the white slaves were non-existent after Civil War. Actually, at least 100 years prior to Civil War, because what they started doing was they started making laws that would benefit you if you were white, poor or rich, and they would make sure that the law excluded blacks. So yeah, I hear you, and there's a lot of different versions of what occurred back in the days, but I do want to make that clear because it's always something that get used that there was white slaves too, like that is even relevant. I don't even see how that's relevant to the overall slavery in America and how it was affecting blacks nowadays. But let's keep watching.
Fact number 2. Slaves were used as guinea pigs for medical experiments, without anesthesia, without consent, without mercy. Dr. James Marion Sims, considered the father of modern gynecology, built his entire reputation by repeatedly operating on enslaved women, testing surgical procedures, with nothing for the pain. One of them, named Anarcha, was subjected to 30 surgeries before Sims considered the procedure successful. 30 times cut open without anesthesia. Sims recorded the results, like someone logging tests on laboratory animals. The women did not even have the right to scream stop. They were guinea pigs with names. Sims was not an exception. He was the system. Owners lent slaves to doctors who needed bodies to practice on. If they died during the experiments, the owner received compensation for the loss. Modern American medicine was literally built on the suffering of people treated as disposable material. To this day, statues of Sims exist in American cities. America honors the surgeon and forgot the patients. The women who suffered at his hands did not even have their last names recorded in the medical charts. Only the first names survived. Anarcha, Lucy, Betsy. Names without a grave, without a headstone, without justice.
So that's daunting. I mean, you not even safe dead. They was digging you up out the grave to experiment on you as a black person. They still celebrate old Sims in a lot of the modern medical fields. And as a side note, a lot of the current medical procedures and processes, a lot of them are still drenched in the beliefs that they had back in those slavery days, to where they felt like black people just wasn't built the same as white people. We were completely different. So, we had a higher pain tolerance. We can abstain missing limbs better. We can do long days of work better, And these are all things you can say of an ox or a bull or cattle. So what do you feel about that part?
It's very weird that, whoever this Sims guy is, I mean, I haven't heard of him before, but since this video is saying that he's very popular in medical fields and renowned in hospitals and things, despite, I mean, yeah, he did some medical breakthroughs, but I mean, he did it on unwilling black women and people. So, I mean, I wouldn't be congratulating him. I mean, that's like just human experimentation, and then he just happened to succeed. I mean, is it really even a success?
I mean, a lot of the stuff they know about the human anatomy came from those days, and some would say that was the benefit of doing these type of experiments. But of course, their families wasn't being experimented on. So I guess it's all about perspective. You, as a kid nowadays, my kid, is this not something you're upset with? Not only knowing the history of what occurred, but also seeing that it is still prevalent in some form today. You're not mad about it?
I am upset about it.
I guess it's hard to be serious about this because,
I mean, well, maybe one day if I feel like I've been treated unfairly, then I can, actually
You understand you're half black too, right?
Yes. And I don't really care about my skin color, okay? I'm me.
You don't care about being black?
I don't, no. Don't say that. I mean, I'm happy to be black. I'm happy to be white. I'm happy to be mixed. I don't take that as, like, if I were to hand you a paper of me saying, like, everything about me, I don't think my race would be on it. It's just, I mean, yeah, it's part of me, but I don't judge things based on race. I don't, when I look at someone, I don't think, oh, hey, they're white. I mean, well, if they're like Asian or something, then I'll say something, because, I mean, you don't see many Asians around here. But I don't really take into account their skin color. They're just a person. And
well, what does that have to do with what has happened and what is still happening to half of your race, half of your bloodline?
Yeah, I'm saying
half of what you are black. Not only are you seeing the proof of what occurred, horrendous proof of what occurred just a couple hundred years ago, also know what's happening today. You got social media, you got news. I've shown you stories, you've seen stories on your own where black people just flat out getting done wrong.
Well, what am I?
And the only explanation is racism.
What am I supposed to do? I go to school every day.
The first thing you should do is be open to the knowledge, for one. I think right now you're so worried about offending. I'm gonna say your white side, but because I'm not gonna front out nobody. But you know who you are. So I get you not wanting to offend that other side because you're just as much as that as you are. But then riddle me this: these horrendous acts, half of your side performed it to the other half of your side, and the majority of America still allows this systemic racism to be in every single law, every single court proceeding, or whatever. They try to come up with like little what they call them things, proposals. I mean, to where they try to address these past issues, but nowadays I think it's gotten to a point to where They not even want to address it no more. They like, look, we don't want to deal with this no more. And I think you was an example of that. Like instead of constantly going back and forth and having to answer to the sins of our fathers, they died. We're here now, and I'm not whipping you. I'm not doing nothing. But it's still very prevalent today when you talk about, again, police brutality. Again, when you talk about a black kid versus a white kid, same age, same situation, going to court, and they got the same charge. And your brother is a perfect example of this. You have an older brother that that was in a similar situation. Same charge. They did the same exact thing. Your brother got 2 years in jail. The white friend got nothing. He got a slap on the wrist, a little bit of probation. Never served a day in jail. Even though they was the same age, did the same thing together and stood in front of that white judge, and that white judge still showed leniency to the white guy and not your brother. Who's mixed, by the way? I'm just saying. Well, let's keep on going.
Fact number 3. After Nat Turner was executed, his body became a trophy. In 1831, in Southampton County, Virginia, Turner led the most violent slave revolt in American history. About 60 white people died in 2 days of chaos before the local militia crushed the rebellion with disproportionate brutality. Turner was captured 2 months later, tried, and publicly hanged. But the punishment did not end with death. His body was handed over to doctors. His skin was stripped and turned into bags. His bones were distributed as souvenirs. Body parts circulated as macabre curiosities for decades.
That last point is pretty potent. You know, yeah, they killed the revolt, but it's the aftermath that's horrific. They were so pissed and so dead set on making sure black people knew you cannot do this. They took that man bones out the grave, turned his skin into bags, handed out each pieces of his bones like it was a souvenir. And then, worse than that, this largely got wiped up under the carpet. I bet you didn't know about Nat Turner, did you?
Nope.
Led the largest slave revolt of all. I don't know if it was the largest, but he led this revolt, killed 60 white folks. They don't want you to know that. These are also revisionist history that happens in a lot of the schools nowadays, and this is something that like states like Florida and Texas then already just removed out of schools altogether. They don't want you to know about none of this, even though this is American history. So it's a little crazy when you think about it. But did you comment on that?
I mean, you said everything I would say, honestly.
I mean, it's pretty crazy.
It is.
So what do you think about the fact that you didn't even know about this?